are happy to have Dr. Y.V. Subbarao with us once again. And this is the third episode of the series. And we have been getting very good responses from our viewers on YouTube. Many comments I can see, and I'm sure Dr. YVSR will be able to give us the best answers. So over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Today's first topic is about triplicities or triplicates. There is a great importance of this in predictive astrology and also astrology for spiritual elevation.
Okay.
So the triplicates or triplicities in short. The zodiac is divided into 3 sets of 4 signs each, starting from Aries. These are given. The Panchabhutas are the 5 elements, of which space is omitted, and the remaining physical elements, fire, air, water, and earth, are actually assigned to the various signs of the zodiac and also to the planets. All life on earth is created with the composition of these 4 elements. And the way in which these elements are created in space, human beings and other life also of all species living on earth are created in that order. Whereas the determination of the life of any living species, the order is in the reverse.
Okay.
So the first one is ether or space or akasha. In Sanskrit, we have a term, Prudhi Vyapta Stejo Vairakasha. That is, the entire earth is engulfed with the physical elements, Panchabhutas, of which all life is made. So the first one is ether or the space or the akasha, which one gives rise to air. So akasha, space gives rise to air, and these 2 together give rise to fire. These 3 together give rise to water. These 4 give rise to earth, the last element. And it is in this order that all life is also created with these elements. At the termination of the mundane existence, or simply put it as the death of any life, these things escape from the body in the reverse order. The earth element first, the water element next, and followed by airy element, and finally the fiery element, and finally the airy element into the space. So in short, we are all born from space that can be usually visualized. And these things have got a great saying in the predictive astrology that the type of place where the human being is going to live his life in terms of profession or placement after retirement and so on and so forth. These things are clearly indicated and used in predictive astrology. Now I shall share the slides one after another.
Okay, sir.
The first slide clearly indicates the topics listed for today and also the list of topics.
We have come to the end of this video. In case you have any doubts, please type them out in the comment section. And whenever I find the time, I'll answer them for you. And see you soon in my next video.
Lordship of signs of the zodiac, rationale of special aspects of exterior planets. On these 3 topics, this session will be actually fully enlightened. So the first topic, rationale of triplicates. The first slide is the rationale of triplicates of natural elements. And this is the order of the elements. The ether gives rise to air. Ether gives rise to air. And these 2 together give rise to fire. These 3 together give rise to ether, air, and fire give rise to water. So these 4 elements give rise to earth. So this is the order in which all life is created. And at the termination of the life, the entire thing is in the reverse process. The earth goes to the reservoir of the earth, and then the water, the body becomes cool, it is water. And when water is also over, there is a little fire near the heart, that's over. And the air, finally, the soul takes away, and it goes into space. This is the order in which the triplicates explain the order of creation of all life on earth and also the extinction of the life. This is in short the simple principle of the 5 elements, and we shall see how these things are distributed or rather assigned into the various planets and houses in the zodiac. Here I have shown the diagram that this entire zodiac is divided into 3 sets. The first set starting from Aries up to Cancer, the 4, and from Cancer, the second set starts up to Scorpio. The third set finally is from Sagittarius to Pisces. So this is how the zodiac is divided into 3 sets of 4 signs each, so that the 4 elements can be assigned. In this slide, we can see that the rationale behind the allocation or assignment of these planets to the signs as well as to the planets are basically on the nature of the planet. We know for certain that Sun owning Leo is a fiery planet and a hot planet. So all other fiery signs start from Sun. Similarly, we know for certain that Cancer is the watery sign, signifying oceans and all that. So all the watery signs are shown from that. Similarly, we know that Mercury stands for Earth, and therefore all the earthy signs follow from Mercury. And finally, the Aries sign, Nirmamsa Dehaya, is the actual description of the planet Saturn, and therefore he is an airy planet, and from the airy planet of Saturn, all other airy signs and planets arise. Now we shall see from the first one, Leo, which is this fiery planet and a fiery sign. The first sign of the second set, the first set, and the first sign of the third set, Sagittarius, are the fiery signs. And Mars is the fiery sign in the first set. Leo's Sun is the first sign and the planet for this fiery sign. And in the third set, it is Jupiter and Sagittarius. I have shown this here in the form of a triangle as a trine. These significations are in trine. So this is an additional aspect for prediction also, that the trines or the nature of the planets are in trine, and gives one point when we consider exaltation of signs. So the second one is Mercury is Virgo. Mercury is the earthy planet, we know it for certainty. Therefore, the second sign of each set, that is the first set and the third set, these are earthy signs. That is Virgo sign and Mercury planet, and Capricorn sign and Saturn planet, and the Taurus and Venus are the earthy signs. Similarly, the third set, the third element, Aries, it starts from Saturn is the, we know, we have just talked about it, it's an Aries sign. It is completely devoid of flesh and blood, and therefore it is Aries, it is astral body, and therefore starting it as an Aries sign, every third house of the remaining 2 sets are also Aries signs. So Aries, Aquarius and Saturn are Aries signs and planet. Here also Gemini, the Aries sign, and Mercury, its lord, is the earthy planet. Similarly, Libra and Venus is earthy planet. So lastly, the fourth one, watery planet. We know for certain that Cancer, signifying oceans, containing abundant water and completely enveloped the earth, is almost, and also 75% of our body contains water. Cancer is signified by watery sign, and that is Moon. The next sign in the second set is Scorpio. Scorpio, it is a little water. Only some rivulets or some such thing, small flow of water and rocks. If we lift the rock, we find some scorpions, and centipedes and all that. That is the amount of water that we have in Scorpio, signified by Mars. But here in Pisces, we have perennial source like Ganges. So a place like Benares is signified by Pisces. So this is the last element, and therefore these four elements signify the three sets of the zodiac, and planets and signs signify all these elements, which are of great value in our prediction. Here I have made it very easy in the form of a table. First one is the Aries sign, Aries element, and Mercury, Venus, and Saturn. Because Mercury is the second Virgo lord, is for Saturn the earthly planet, and therefore the second sign of all the other sets. So Mercury, Venus, and Saturn are the planets, earthly planet, Aries planets, and Gemini, Libra, and then the third one is Saturn, that is Aquarius. These three are the Aries signs. Fiery sign, we know for certain that the sun Leo is a hot planet and a fiery planet, and therefore the first sign of the remaining two sets, that is the Mars of Aries and Jupiter of Sagittarius, that is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, are fiery signs. Similarly, for watery signs, Moon in the Cancer and Mars in the Scorpio and Jupiter in Pisces are the watery signs. Lastly, the element Earth is signified by Venus, Mercury, and Saturn. Venus as the lord of Taurus, Mercury is the lord of Virgo, and Saturn as the lord of Capricorn. These are the fiery planets, airy planets, watery planets, earthy planets, and these four elements also signify the signs. So the planet and the sign emphasize these things in the prediction also, to locate the place and the nature of the place, whether it is cool place or a hilly place or a forest or a earthy or a watery place. Even people employed in Navy, we look for watery sign. Or near the, living in the seashore. So this is of great value in spiritual astrology as well as in predictive astrology.
Sir, is there any connection with the Ayurvedic terms like Kapha, Vata, and Pitta with these fire, earth, and air and water, and the Panchabhutas?
Yes, very good question. The five vital, the Panchabhutas give rise to five vital layers in the body. The five elements give rise to five vital layers in the body. Okay. They are Prana, Vyana, Apana, Udana, Samana. So the air that actually distributes all over the body is Samana. And Prana sustains the body. And Udana, the body that circulates towards the upper side. Okay. And like that, the five elements give rise to the five vital layers. These five elements and five vital layers give rise to three types of guna, or what is called as tamas, rajas, and sattvic nature. Okay. These again depend on the vata, pitta, and slesha.
Okay.
In Ayurveda. So it is from that the sattvic people will have a particular, all the three in balance, vata, pitta, and slesha. Whereas in people having more rajas, it will be different. It is imbalanced. So they are prone to more diseases like that. So based on these things and touching the nadi, the Ayurvedic specialist will be able to actually diagnose the type of disease and prescribe a medicine suitable with the planetary nature, whether it should be an element of, the drug should be a silver-based one or a gold-based one, okay. Heavy metals. So it is a long connection. The second topic for today is the rationale of lordship of signs of the zodiac. So some of the questions raised earlier may get a little clarification in this. Here we have got this zodiac as usual with the lords of the planets as the lords in the various signs, appropriate signs, and arrows in the reverse direction signifying that the zodiac always moves retrograde. And this particular line of solar system, these planets are in the sequence of the planets in the solar system. At the very outset, I should say that the sequence of planets in the solar system is the same as the sequence of lords in the zodiac. There's no difference in the sequence of planets in the solar system, and also the lordship assigned to the planets of the various signs of the zodiac. Therefore, starting with the sun, it goes to Leo. Then moon is the lord of Cancer. Mercury is the lord of Gemini. Venus is the lord of Taurus. Mars is the lord of Aries. Jupiter is the lord of Pisces. And Saturn is the lord of Aquarius. So all the planets in the solar system are exhausted of their lordship in the zodiac from Leo to Aquarius. You may ask me the question as to why the lordship of the planets is assigned starting from the fifth house and not from Aries, as is the usual case of the principle being generated at the genesis of it from Aries sign. And therefore, the fifth house from Aries signifies Pitrukaraka, or father, and therefore the Jivatma comes into life, and the moment the child comes to life, the horoscope arises. Therefore, the lordship of the planets are started from the fifth house, the Leo. This is well explained in the succeeding slide. In this slide, it can be seen that Leo is Pitrukaraka, father, and Atmakaraka, that is Jivatma also. Whereas the Cancer is Matrukaraka, mother. So these two are consecutive signs and treated as a single unit, forming the couple, father and mother. So they give rise to the birth of a child. And ninth house Sagittarius, Jupiter is Jiva. He aspects the Leo, the fifth house, by his special aspect of the ninth house. Therefore, this Jiva and that Atma becomes Jivatma. And here I have shown that Pitrukaraka, father, human beings have nearly 23 chromosomes, or the genes, pairs, that is 46 chromosomes, or 23 pairs. Of these, 22 chromosomes are called autosomes, and one chromosome is the sex chromosome. The sex chromosome contains two genes, X and Y in males, and X and X in females. Therefore, X, here we find if X of the male of the father and X of the mother combine, it gives a female child. If the Y of the father and the X of the mother combine, it gives a female child and a male child. Therefore, Y is a hereditary gene. So this, based on this, the hereditary is determined, and that is called a DNA test also. Here I have shown the egg in the mother and the semen from the father. These two mutual fertilization takes place, a zygote is formed. Here the zygote has no gender initially. After the 6th week or 8th week, the sex of the child will be known. Whether it is a male child or female child, it is only the parent that contributes, the male person contributes, and the female has got practically no role to give a male or female child. She is highly impartial to deliver whichever child is destined to be born. So this is completely connected, this 4th house and 5th house, sun and moon are combined as a unit. This will be better understood in that when we consider the lordship of the signs. In the previous slide, we have seen that there are 12 signs and 7 planets. 12 signs and 7 planets cannot be divided exactly. Therefore, the two houses, consecutive houses of Cancer, Moon and Leo are combined as a unit. Thereby, you have 6 planets in all, and 6 planets, 12 signs divided by 6 will give 2 each. And therefore, all the planets have 2 signs each. And this unit for Cancer and Leo also get 2 signs. That means 1 sign to Cancer and one sign to Moon and 1 sign to Sun. So I go to the next slide. It is shown here that there are triple births of a soul. That means the child is born first in the father and next in the mother and finally on its own. That is why Leo is first, Cancer is next. These two together form a couple and a unit. Therefore, the lords of the signs are 6 only. When these two are combined, Sun and Moon are combined as a unit. Therefore, the entire zodiac of 12 signs are divided amongst the 6 units, 6 entities as 2 signs each. And finally, Sun and Moon also get 2 signs and 1 each. So the next one is Ashok. And another question in the previous shows about Rahu and lordship for Rahu and Ketu. I said vehemently that there is no lordship for these 2 planets. They are simply intersecting points and they are shadow planets named in astrology. So in Parasara Hora Shastra, in the 46th chapter and 157th canto, it is mentioned that Rahu and Ketu have the lordship of Aquarius and Scorpio respectively. In the Charadasha system, there are as many divisions of horoscope as there are Dasha systems also. Finally, the Navamsa chart accompanied by the Rasi chart have come to stay, and Vimsottari Dasha system has come to stay, superseding all other Dasha systems. Therefore, in the Charadasha system of Brihat Parasara Hora Shastra mentioned therein, Rahu and Ketu are given these 2 ownerships. One is Aquarius for Rahu and Scorpio for Ketu. This completely defies logic and also astronomy. And it is totally in contradiction to the Vimsottari Dasha system also. So anything that is not acceptable according to logic or defies astronomy will be totally dispensed with pleasure. Here, Rahu is in Aquarius, means he is between Guru and Shani. Whereas in Vimsottari Dasha system, he is between Kuja and Guru. Rahu is between Kuja and Guru. Kuja, Rahu, Guru. Whereas it is totally different. Similarly, Ketu is actually between Bodha and Shukra. It is in away from that. Further, they are not in 180 degrees. They are 120 degrees away from one another. So in astronomy, these 2 intersecting points are always 180 degrees. And that's why in ephemeris of the longitudes of the planets, we have only the North Lunar Road measurements, longitudes are given. And by adding 180, we arrive at Ketu's longitude. I hope and feel suffice that this explanation will shatter the doubts of giving any sympathy of Rahu and Ketu for lordship. So that is the part of the lordship of the signs and in the zodiac. And Rahu's Ketu's lordship is also questioned. It is also clarified. It totally defies the astronomy principle. In solar system, Sun is always at the extreme of this. Saturn is always at the extreme to the Sun. Similarly, Rahu and Ketu are 180 degrees away. That is why in ephemeris we have only Rahu's, that node longitude is given for us to calculate adding 180 for Ketu's position. They are always in the 7th house to one another.
Sir, there are some statements like Rahu is like Shani and Ketu is like Mars. Is there any validity for those statements?
Yes. In Vimsottari Dasha system, we will be able to see that very clearly. Anyways, I would like to answer this question. Incidentally, very much relative to this. This Rahu is almost akin to Saturn. It is said Shanivat Rahu. And Rahu is in the Libra at the time of the beginning of the universe, and Saturn is in the Aries.
Okay.
So they are separate as far as their position is concerned. But as for their nature, and Shani signifies certain, has got certain nature, the same similar nature Rahu too has it. Whereas Ketu and Mars are both situated in the Aries at the beginning of the universe, and both are identical, same in color, and also equal in Vimsotari Dasha value of 7 years each. Whereas Saturn and Rahu, they differ by 1 year. That is because Rahu is opposite Shani, and so 1 year is stripped from him.
Okay.
As you asked me, Shani and Rahu both are identical, and Ketu are identical. Ketu and Kuja are identical 100%, whereas Shani and Rahu are 99%.
So we'll be going on to the next
one.
Yeah.
And I will leave this and here the rationale of special aspects of exterior planets, I said. So in this rationale of special aspects of exterior planets, the question arises as to why only for exterior planets, which incidentally I will be answered. In the classes in astronomy, the planets are classified under 2 categories: interior planets within the orbit of the Earth and exterior planets beyond the orbit of the Earth. We have interior planets within the orbit of the Earth are Mercury, Venus, Sun and Moon. Whereas planets beyond the orbit of the Earth are Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. So these are also called in astronomy by 2 other names, that exterior planets are also, interior planets are called inferior planets. Perhaps that also satisfies the astrological phenomenon. And exterior planets are called superior planets. This is also justified in the sense that interior planets have aspect to the 7th house directly, that is 180 degrees opposite. Whereas exterior planets, in addition to aspect of the 7th house or the 180 degrees opposite to it, they have got additionally, Mars has got 3 and 4 and 8 aspect, special aspect of the houses, Jupiter for 5 and 9 houses, and Saturn 3 and 10 houses. So that's why they are called superior planets, because they have additional special aspects. Perhaps astronomy also justifies what is actually done in astrology. The next slide. The special aspects of planets are actually based on Einstein's theory of general theory of relativity. It is not special theory of relativity for which Einstein is famous, that G is equal to mc square. That is different. Here, this Einstein's general theory of relativity pertaining to gravitational deflection of light by a massive body. So the deflection of light, all planets get the borrowed light, whereas stars give naturally light, they are shining by themselves. Here, the gravitational deflection of light by a massive body means the massive bodies are all planets. And the lighting body is the sun. So the rays coming from the sun, all the planets, the interior planets, are smaller in size compared to the diameter of the Earth. And therefore, the sun rays directly fall on them, and some bend on them and then directly hit the Earth. It's all right. But Mars is a very small planet which is hidden by the Earth because of its size. Still, it gets the light from the sun by deflection, and also from there it is reflecting. This is the light rays from the sun travel parallel, and when they meet the massive body like the Earth, they bend and then converge at this point and strike the other planet behind it, the exterior planet. And at these 2 points, these rays coming from the sun, this white ray touching the moon here, Mars here, and another white ray touching at the other end of the Mars. The ray is reflected tangentially to the Earth on either side, tangentially to the Earth on either side, and reflected. That is reflected from here, this ray, and this is reflected here. And finally, we get the direction of these two reflected rays are in the direction of 4,000 and 8,000. So the light rays from the sun travel towards the Earth. Because of the massive nature of the Earth, they get deflected, bend, and then again converge at another point. And from there, the light rays are reflected tangentially to the Earth on either side of the Earth. And therefore, the angle of that is 4th and 8th. They strike the 4th and 8th. Similarly, Jupiter somewhere here bigger than the Earth also. Light rays pass and then fall on Jupiter. And from there, it is bent here already, and striking the Jupiter, they again travel tangentially to on either side of the Earth. So the whole thing of special aspects of the planets is, Newton has said that the deflection angles will be only n, whereas Einstein has proved it is exactly 2n. And therefore, the special aspects in astrology of the exterior planets are always obey the Einstein's general theory of relativity, that is gravitational deflection of light by massive bodies. They have ordinary aspect of the 7th house, and they have the special aspects because of the deflection of light by Einstein's principle. The next slide shows the rationale behind the whole thing. Having seen the principle, how it works, we want to know why the angles are also mentioned as signified in our astrology. Here I will show you. The Earth is in the center. The rays coming by deflection reflected from these exterior planets, which are all at one point at the time of beginning of the universe. Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are in Aries. And so they travel towards on either side of the Earth by Einstein's principle. I take the rays from the Saturn, the most distant planet. From the Saturn, they go on either side of the Earth towards the 10th house and the 10th house Capricorn and the 3rd house Gemini. Similarly, Jupiter, the rays come from Aries towards Sagittarius and Leo. This is the 5th house and that's the 9th house. 5 and 9, Jupiter. And lastly, from the Mars, the rays come towards 4th and the 8th. They strike the, so these are the special aspects emanating from these three planets, exterior planets. Here I have shown in the table Saturn, 3 and 10. Jupiter has special aspect over 5th and 9th houses from their position. And for Mars, from this position, 4th and 8th houses are the special aspected houses. Here we can see the logic in this. The Saturn is Ayushkaraka and the 3rd house signifies longevity. The Jupiter is the lord of the 5th house, is a Putram, I'm sorry, this type mistake. It is Putrakaraka signifying children. In Mars, that is Kshetrakaraka signifying the land, 4th house. So on one side of 3, 4, 5, these planets signify identically their natural significations. Saturn, Ayushkaraka, and 3rd house signifies longevity. Jupiter, Putrakaraka, and 5th house signifies children, and therefore that is one ray is going to that side. And Mars is the Kshetrakaraka, and one ray of Mars goes towards land. The 8th, 9th, and 10th these three planets are the lords of these houses. They own these houses. So on one side of the ray actually signifies the ownership of the lordship of their houses, and on the other side, they are signifying their natural significations. So the special aspects contain the two rays on either side of the earth. The one side it is all significators and significations. That's the other side, it is all ownership or the lordship of the signs. So this is the logic and the basis. Einstein's theory of deflection of light, general theory, is the basis, and also the logic is astrological significations. So with that, we come to an end of the slideshow.
I mean, this is the end of the episode 3. Okay.
Yes.
So it was really good, sir. And with regard to the aspects, you have used the first house of special aspects. You have connected it to the Karakatva of the planet, right?
Yes.
For Saturn 3, Ayush, and Jupiter.
Yes. Third house signifies longevity, and Saturn is a significator of longevity.
Okay, fine. That was the basis. Okay, and you also use the deflection of the light from the planets.
Yes, from distant stars.
Okay. So you have been able to relate the astronomical facts with the astrological facts throughout this session. Okay, that's really wonderful. And we are awaiting the comments from
here also, as usual, the genesis of this principle is also from Aries, and later on it is made universal for these 3 planets, wherever they are in the zodiac, in the horoscope. From their position, these special aspects arise.
Okay, interesting, sir. So there are many comments in the beneath the videos that we have done so far. Can we sometimes maybe in the next episode or so we could try to answer the questions if possible, or we move on to the whatever you planned according to
next session we will answer those things. And other comments that come for this show also will be added and answered. So fine, we look forward for the next video show, and the viewers can also watch it. And in this, they can give their comments and all that, which will be a feedback for us.
We had a very wonderful time, and we look forward to having more sessions with you, sir. We have come to the end of this video. In case you have any doubts, please type them out in the comment section, and whenever I find the time, I'll answer them for you. And see you soon in my next video.